His Excellency is in the house. His Excellency is in the house. Good evening, distinguished professionals. You are all welcome. First of all, I want to apologize for the late start of the program. My name is Dr. Dennis Ado. I'm part of the committee that put this together. Without wasting time, we'll call Reverend Father Osei Mensah to come and give us an opening prayer and start the program.
Shall we pray? Another Master, we thank you and praise you for the gift of life. We thank you and praise you for the gift of today. We thank you and praise you for bringing us here safe and sound. We thank you and praise you for our great party. We thank you and praise you for the life of our flag bearer. We ask you to be with us throughout our deliberations, so that with you, everything becomes possible. And that this year, victory becomes ours. We make our prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you very much, Reverend. At this point, I invite Prof. Mensah, who is the chairman of the committee that put this together. He's also the CEO of Confanoche. Shall we give him a big hand?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, Vice President and Flag Bearer of the New Patriotic Party, the Chief of Staff, Mafema, the National Chairman, Mr. T, distinguished gentlemen on the high table. Again, I want to apologize profusely for the late start. And it's basically because provision had to be made to accommodate a change in schedule of the Regional House of Chiefs. But your decision to wait to meet the flag bearer, for me, is enough testament of your dedication to the development and progress of Ghana. I made this point earlier on, that if there are any group of people in this country whose inputs, suggestions, and reason are important and needed for the forward march of this country, it is you, the professional groups. And so I was pleasantly excited when the flag bearer insisted that a meeting like this with professional groups be organized, so that he would not only avail himself for questioning, but he would have the opportunity to hear you make suggestions and inputs into his vision for the new Ghana come the 7th of December 2024, when he is elected as the President of Ghana. I have had the pleasant duty and responsibility of working with Mr. Michael Mensah, who acted as our Secretary, Dr. Dennis Ado, the MC, Mr. Boachi Dampa, Lawyer Kolache, and Mr. Chibwa Kubia of the National Health Insurance Authority. Presently gathered here, Your Excellency, the Ghana Bar Association representatives, Ghana Journalists Association, representatives of the medical physicists, the Teachers Wing, Ghana National Association of Teachers, Concerned Teachers, NAGRAT, UTAC from Amstead, UTAC from KNUST, TUTAC from KST, GRNMA, that's the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, workers from the National Health Insurance Authority, and the members of the Ghana Institute of Surveyors. We are pleased to have in our midst the Vice Chancellor, the Pro-Vice Chancellor of KST. I will crave your indulgence for us to invite them to occupy these 2 seats that are here. The Vice Chancellor, Pro-Vice Chancellor, please. I'm particularly excited because we have the opportunity not only to ask questions, but to make suggestions and inputs into the vision of the flag bearer, His Excellency, Dr. Bawumia. Thank you very much, and God bless us.
Thank you so very much. Permit me to take the opportunity to introduce the entourage who's come with His Excellency, no particular order. I want to, on my far extreme left, we have Honorable Dr. Efriye and you, who is the belt coordinator for the Middle East for His Excellency, and also member of Parliament. Honorable, please. Please would also kindly acknowledge Deputy Majority Leader and Honorable Member of Parliament for Asokwa, Honorable Patricia Adjei, please acknowledge. We also have Honorable Nana Kojo Nsafua Koko, please acknowledge him, please. We also have in our midst the Deputy Campaign Chairman, Honorable Fred Owari, please acknowledge him. We also have Ambassador Edward Wati here, please acknowledge him. Please let's proceed to acknowledge the Deputy Chief, the Deputy General Secretary of our party, Dr. Antoinette Chimida, please acknowledge her. We have a senior aide to the campaign, also Lawyer Amafra Boma, please acknowledge her. We have Mr. Kweku Apia, who is also ODK, please acknowledge Kweku Apia Mesa, please acknowledge her. We also have, for identifiable groups, Alfred Thompson, please acknowledge him. Then we have Dr. Ansan Asari, who is also Isia Asari, forgive me please. Dr. Isia Asari was in charge of Agenda 111, please acknowledge. We also have we have in our midst the Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Honorable Asamoah Stephen Asamoah. Another senior member of the campaign, Mr. Opombio, please let's acknowledge him, please. We also have in our midst the former General Secretary of our party. He is also a senior aide to the campaign, and His Excellency Honorable Engineer Bawumia. We have in our midst the Member of Parliament for Swami, and also the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, the one and only Honorable Chairman Samuel, please. Honorable Chairman Samuel, please. Acknowledge me. Thank you. I also want to proceed to acknowledge the Ashanti Regional Chairman himself, the one and only Chairman, Road to Maid, Bernard Chukwesiako. Thank you. Permit me, the new patriotic party, the entire party, the chairman of the party himself, Mr. Stephen Inti, please acknowledge him. We also have in our midst the Minister for Education, Honorable Yao Editu, please acknowledge him. Then the one and only mother has the chief of staff of the Republic of Ghana, and then to the man himself, a very, very humble man, very friendly, firm, solid. The people of Ghana, they call him the digital man. They call him the low for oil man, the interoperability man, the it is possible man, the vice president of the Republic of Ghana, the independent president of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia. Thank you so very much.
Bawumia do wa do bibi odowa odowa do bibi.
Thank you. On that note, please, we'll kindly invite the chairman for the MPP in the Greater Accra region to give.
Hey, Ashanti region.
Ashanti region.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, and the flag bearer of the new Patriotic Party, and the leader of MPP. We thank God, and I'm very happy to meet the professionals. In the country who want to develop, you need the professionals. You need the pieces of advice from the professionals. And I can say Ghana is changing. And the Ghana we are having now we can see that we are doing roads. There's a tall buildings in everywhere. But we cannot do it. You are lucky to be a professor. I remember when I was in Prempeh College. I was there with Senior Mozart. Senior Devils, we call him Senior Mozart. When he was upper 6, I was SS2 in Prempeh College. He's lucky when he finished school, he continued now, he's a professional. But me, I couldn't. Even now, still my certificate is still in Prempeh College.
so that I also can profit from professionals. So today, I'm very, very happy to meet the professionals. Because God is not going to bring a new Ghana from heaven. We have to think together to know how we are going to help our country to develop. Country like Israel is a very small country. They don't have gold, they don't have diamond, they don't have timber, they don't have. But because they have good education and professionals like you, their country has moved and moved and moved on. So you are very important. You are very, very important. May I respect the people who have a title like you, holding a title called lawyer or engineers or doctor or anything you are having, I respect it. All teachers. Without you, we can't help Ghana. So you are very important. That is why when our flag bearer, 2024 or 2025 president, when he was coming, he told me that, Chairman, make it possible for me to meet Ashanti professionals. It's not by mistake. It's not by mistake. He valued the love that Ashanti has given to him or shown to him. That is why he also wants to meet you now to give it to you. We love you. We love you. May God bless you all. We love you. May God bless you all. We are winning 2024 election. We are breaking the eight. Dr. Bawumia will be the first Muslim, will be the first Northerner in the NPP to win or break the eight. May God bless you. May God bless you all. We love you. We love you. I respect you. Amen. Some people are for the chairman. The one that chairman to me. And as the chairman said, professionals are the nation builders. And that's why when the vice president was coming, he insisted that we meet the professionals. The chairman also tasked us to put this committee together to deliver for all of you to hear. So we appreciate your presence and thank you all for coming. At this juncture, I want to invite the coordinator of the campaign for the entire Middle Belt, Dr. Nana Ayu, a free lady. So much. Excellency, colleagues, friends, they are calling the country. Professional platform. Basically, Your Excellency is here. We're going to have very good interaction among ourselves. Just like Chairman said, he was clear in his mind that we cannot complete the program without him meeting professionals. He was so clear in his mind. He has some sort of affection or addiction for professionals. Probably he came from the academia, so you can see that soft spot. He always hammers it so hard for us. We have set him this, and it's to create a platform for us to deepen our relationship. It is for us to ask questions in terms of understanding of where we are. You understand what is inflation, you understand what is bank bonds, we do understand what the difficulty the economy is coming through by no fault of ours. You understand what is an act of nature. You understand what is spending to save lives. Lives that does not go into what we call fixed assets. But we in the health economics, we believe in the Grossman model. The investment in the human health is definitely going to be an investment in capital, based upon what model you are running. But then if you spend to save lives, and you don't have a lot of people dying, and we survive an economy that went through recession. Because if your GDP is run below the long run trend for about two continuous points, then you're in a recession actually. And God saves us through 2019, 2020, 2021. We need to be frank about this. We need deep-minded people to take us through. And you can all attest to it that the system, the figures are getting better. Those days when the figures were getting down, they said we were cooking the figures. But when inflation went to about 54%, nobody said the figures were cooked. We have people who tell lies with the economy so that the IMF will surcharge us. We don't believe in that. We believe in understanding that we were hit by nature. And you myself will understand that before we were hit by nature, we were doing well. We were doing well. We were doing well. So are we going to part away because of the difficulty we've gone through and the fact that we are weathering the storm? And that is why Excellency fits in to be the president at this time. Because he showed with his conviction that going into about the next year with the direction of the economy and he taking over, obviously, knowing where we were and where we did and where we are coming up gradually, he has a feel and understanding better than those who think they could have. One way or the other, act of nature hits us. 2008 it did. MPP, whether we are better managers of the economy or not, we get to be the people who external short meetings the most. Probably sometimes also their elections. Maybe it's divinity. But the master brain behind the solutions is here. At this point, you need an economist, a professional, who understands where we are and can walk us through the valley of shadow of death. As we fear no evil. And that is where we have to make wise choices. That is why you don't have to give up. Others can give up, but you don't have to give up because you can read, you can understand the global situation. Ghana is not out of context. Ghana cannot be out of context. So at this point, we've come to have very good discussions at home. And in the middle belt, I'm here for you. The regional chairman is in charge of the campaign. I work with him. Any difficulty, you reach out with him, you reach out with me. I'm there with you. And for the boss, he's talking to us every second. Let's build a stronger friendship and foster a closer relationship. And in God I trust. With Bawumia, trusting in the Lord. It is possible. Thank you so much. So, Dennis, so you open up for the question.
At this point, since we are dealing with professionals, we want to invite our former General Secretary, Engineer Kabina J. Adepon, to also say a few words. He's also a professional engineer. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, permit me to stand on existing protocols. I feel very humbled and proud to be amongst my colleagues, professionals. I'm really excited about the energy in the room and the fact that these great many minds have stayed in this country and worked hard for this country despite the difficulties that we face as a people. It's quite clear that we can all help Dr. Bawumia usher in a new chapter in Ghana's life. It's all about how we are dedicated to the values as a people, how we can recalibrate our values, our thinking, our determination to work for the collective. Look at the energy in this room. I feel assured that Ghana is in your safe hands. We need to lead the people, share our passion for our country, our dedication to our flag of Ghana, and of course everybody needs to be compensated properly. But the likes of you who have decided to stay in this country and work hard as professionals, we are the examples to show to the rest of the country that it is possible to be able to change our country. I have very strong confidence in the leadership of a man who has such high personal integrity, humility, vitality, ideas, intellect, and I do believe with him we have a chance to change this country, bring about ethical society, ethical work, values of our country. And as patriots of this country, it is those values that are going to animate what we do going forward. So once again, I want to thank your president, the chairman of the professionals in Kumasi, the efficient and effective way he's mobilized you. And I do believe with solid leadership, pure motives, and good intentions from our leader, inshallah, Ghana will be good once again. May God bless all of us. I take this opportunity, as I said, to introduce the man who I believe is the right person for this time in our country. A man of action, a man who has ideas, a man who has vitality, the man who has humility. Let's put our hands together for Dr. Bawumia.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Governor. I really appreciate it. Madam Chief of Staff, Ministers of State, Members of Parliament, my good friend, Professor Diamond Sam, our regional party chairman, national party chairman, very good senior aides who have accompanied me here, my fellow professionals. I still consider myself a professional. I'm very happy to be with you this evening. I have been going around the country, and this is the 16th region that I am in this first round of campaigning, and I sort of am looking for all the ideas that I can get as I put this manifesto together. And so I insisted that this meeting should be organized so that we have a chance to exchange ideas and I get a sense of the feeling, because wisdom doesn't have one person having it. We have it all over. And I know that as professionals, you eat, sleep, and drink every day about Ghana's problem. That is usually what we go through. We are always thinking about problems, analyzing problems, and proffering solutions to problems across. So I know you have thought through many issues. I want us to have an interaction, so I'm hoping that I don't go too deep in terms of length of time, so that we have some time to have a little bit of interaction, that I can respond to some of your suggestions and your questions. Fundamentally, I have generally been focused since I became vice president on trying to put in place certain foundations, certain pillars for this economy. Foundations that were not there since independence. In fact, 14 years ago, I took some time off to be a visiting scholar at Oxford University in the UK. And when I was there, I wrote a book on economic development, basically looking at Ghana and actually Africa and Ghana. And in that book, I was focusing on the things that as a continent and as a country, we needed to be doing. and nobody will tell us to do those things. If we didn't do it, we'll continue. So I talked in the last 2 paragraphs of that book about the unwritten rules of the game, basically saying that internationally we are in a competitive game. Let us make no mistake to think that any country is giving us charity, because every country is competing with us, and every country wants to win that game. And so they will only give us charity to the extent that we don't come to defeat them in the competitive game. So when you are in this game internationally, of the game of international development, if you decide to enter the field and don't have a goalkeeper, your opponents will not tell you that you don't have a goalkeeper. They will keep scoring the goals. And you have to make up your mind that you need a goalkeeper. And these, for me, I said, were some of the unwritten rules of the game. This was before I became vice president. Of course, this was 14 years ago that I published this particular book. And so I was raising the basic issue that the world is moving into the 4th industrial revolution. We are moving into the digital age, the world of STEM, the world of robotics, the world of AI. It is inevitable that this is the direction that we are going into. And so countries such as Ghana need to get ready. Nobody, at that time I was writing, I said, nobody is going to come and tell you to have a national ID card. We've not had it for 60 years, and nobody was going to come and tell us. We had to make that decision to have a national ID card. Nobody will tell us that we should have an address system. But you know that no country can function in the modern world without an address system. You go to the US, go to the UK, any advanced country, and collapse their address system. That country will collapse, will stop immediately, because everything revolves around address systems in the economy. And so if you don't have addresses, those economies cannot function. And so I came to government with the mindset, and this is what I set out in the book at that time, that we can do virtually what every advanced country has done. It is possible for us to even do better. And so I want to move, because for the longest time, we stay with problems and problems and problems, and we don't solve the problems. We go around the problems, but we don't really solve the problems. And so my view was that we can be like a South Korea, we can be like a Singapore, we can be like a UAE, Dubai, we can be like Estonia, all these advanced countries that have made it recently. Ghana can also be like that, and it is possible for us to do so. And so in that context, I think that fundamentally there are things that need to be in place. How do we become like a South Korea and all of that? If you look at South Korea and you look back at their history, you see that even BC, 4th century BC, they were mortgaging homes to educate children. This is BC. South Korea, they took education that seriously that people were mortgaging their homes to educate their children. If you want to look at countries that have done well, the data is clear, the evidence is clear. Gross tertiary enrollment ratio has been a key definer of countries that have done well globally. Their gross tertiary enrollment ratio is very high. You look at South Korea today, their gross tertiary education enrollment ratio is about 94%. Education, is that not correct? If you said it's not correct, I will sack you. I'm just joking. But the bottom line is that they have a gross tertiary enrollment ratio of about 94%. That is high, right? From people moving from senior high school into tertiary institutions. That's very, very high. Now in Ghana, even though we've made some progress recently, we are only around 14%. 20, yeah? So we moved from 14 to 20. Okay. So just look at the gap. 94% versus 20%. This is your competition. So you see that we still have a long way to go. And so when we came into office, it was very clear that the education side, we needed to focus on it. That if we are going to compete globally, the education was important. When we came into office, the president asked me, one of the first questions he asked me, he says, Mamadou, can we do free senior high school this year? That is 2017. And I said, yes, Mr. President, we can do it. It is possible for us to do free senior high school this year. And so we quickly arranged the budget to make sure we could do free senior high school education. And I'm glad that we started it in the very first year. There were arguments about whether we should wait and all of that. But we started with enrollment at the end of 2016 of 800,000 senior high school students. By the end of 2023, after 7 years of free SHS, we have moved from 800,000 to 1.4 million students in the senior high school. So after 60 years, we were at 800,000, and in just 7 years, we added 600,000, a 75% increase. Now that tells you that there was a problem, really. There was a problem. So many were not able to go to senior high school because of the problems of funding. And we were able to get a lot more people into senior high school, a 75% increase. But also, qualitatively, we now have more girls enrolling in senior high school than boys, which is very, very important. At the end of 2016, for every 100 boys, we had 68 girls. At the end of 2023, for every 100 boys, we have 106 girls. So today, in the middle classes are finding it very difficult in finding maids in their homes. That is really an issue for the middle, because the parents of the girls have come and taken them to school. And so there is a problem in there. But not only that, the performance of the students has gone up. Core 6 WACC subjects, pass rate in 2016, pass rate was 41%. The core 6. 2023, pass rate is 64%. So you've seen a major improvement. And our worry that the higher the more you open the space, the lower the performance. That has always been the concern. The quality will drop. But we seem to have defied that gravity. And rather, performance has gone up. We've followed it up recently, thanks to Educum, that we have provided tablets to all senior high school students. We are distributing them. I know very soon I'll get to Opokuwari Wednesday and distribute the tablets to the students. And we are the first country in the continent that I know of that is distributing tablets with all the textbooks and everything on these things. So it's very, very good for us in Ghana. I think we've also started STEM, building STEM schools. We've also started TVET. We've invested more in TVET than any other government, spending some 6 billion Ghana cedis over the last 7 years in TVET education. And we've made TVET also free. So we are building skills, building on STEM, and building on senior high school education. And that is what we are doing. The other thing that I thought was very, very important was to make sure that if you're going to enter the digital age, the fundamental instrument for participation is digital identity. For every country, this is where you have to go. No country, you can't avoid it. Every country must have digital ID to be able to participate across the globe in the digital economy. You see that in Europe, the EU has issued a directive that all EU countries by 2030 should issue digital ID cards to their citizens. The US is only starting to discuss in the Congress about issuing digital ID cards to their citizens. But in Ghana, we have issued already 18 million digital ID cards, the Ghana card, to our citizens. That is 85% of all adults. And we are following that up by issuing digital ID numbers to the children when they are now born in our hospitals. And not only are we doing digital ID, we are adding the birth certificate. Because what we've done is we've integrated the National ID database with the Ghana Health Service database with the Births and Deaths Registry database. So we're trying to kill two birds with one stone. A lot of problems and data integrity with the births and deaths. That's why we've digitalized it. A lot of problems, of course, which is new with getting the children Ghana card IDs. Abroad, of course, when they give birth to a child, they give them an ID number from birth. So we decided to kill two birds with one stone with that integration. So today, if they give birth to a child and you take that child to the way in, at the way in, they will send the details to the NIA and also to the Births and Deaths Registry, and you will have returned the child's Ghana card ID number and the birth certificate number at the same time. At the same time. And so we are the, for me, I don't know of any country in the world that is able to do this. And we are definitely the first in Africa. I don't know about the rest of the world. I don't know of any country that does this simultaneous provision of both the birth certificate ID and the national ID digitally at the same time. We have also used the Ghana card to eliminate ghost workers on our payroll. It was very, very important when we had this problem. We decided that we will link every government worker with the national ID cards, because the national ID has fingerprints and ghosts don't have fingerprints. And so once we decided to do so and linked every worker with their Ghana card, all the ghosts ran away. They ran away. In the National Service Secretariat, there were 44,000 ghost workers. 44,000. They all ran away. In SNIT, there were 29,000 ghost patients. They ran away. SNIT, we saved some 300 and something million Ghana cedis. National Service, 420 million Ghana cedis. Two institutions alone. And we've now cleaned up the whole of the Controller and Accountant General payroll, and there's no ghost worker on that payroll. We have also made the Ghana card ICAO compliant, one of the few identity cards in the world that is gone through all the stages of approval in the International Civil Aviation Organization database. We took it to Canada. They went through a whole process and then approved the Ghana card, which therefore is recognized across 44,000 airports and border entries across the world. And so if you go abroad and your passport gets missing, when you're abroad, you can take the Ghana card and catch a flight and come back to Ghana. It will be accepted. It will be accepted. Before the end of this year, we are working very hard at it. We will have operational at our airports e-gates for the arrival. So when you arrive and you are a Ghanaian with your Ghana card, you can go to the e-gate. You don't have to go to the immigration officer. Put in your Ghana card, it will open for you and you end up at the luggage So we are working very hard. I said we needed an address system. We put in a digital address system. So now you can find anywhere in Ghana. Every location has a digital address system. We're the second country in the whole world to implement a national scale address system. We also have had mobile money interoperability to provide access financially to everybody. And by doing so, we are the first country in Africa to implement mobile money interoperability. You can move money from a Momo account to a bank account and vice versa, and across the telcos networks. And because of that, we've really become the #1 country in Africa in terms of financial inclusion. The Momo account is now working just like a bank account. And many people, in fact, use just their Momo accounts. They don't even bother with bank accounts much these days. And we are therefore moving very quickly. We've implemented drones to deliver medical supplies. And Ghana is the world's largest medical drone delivery service. The whole world, Ghana is in the lead in medical drone delivery service. We are the #1 in the world, and we are networking all our hospitals and digitalizing the patient's data. We have completed through the Lightwave eHealth project, we have completed the digitalization of records of all the teaching hospitals, all the regional hospitals, all the district hospitals. And we'll continue, and next year we expect to finish every hospital and CHIPS compound in the country. But we therefore, if you go to any district hospital, you just need to give your ID number and you get all your medical data. If they transfer you from Manswe Dubia to Comfort Nochi, you don't need to bring your folder. You bring your ID, they'll put it in there, and you have from Wa to Kolebu. You don't need to take your folder. Take your ID, you put it in there. When you get to Kolebu, they'll see all your medical records and all of that. So we're moving in this area. You can renew your national health insurance on your mobile phone. You can also buy electricity on your mobile phone. And so we are really becoming part of this digital world and all of that. So those are some of the pillars that we are putting in place to transform this country and make life much easier for our people. Of course, we've brought in ideas of one constituency, one ambulance, agenda 111, Zongo Development Fund, or Gold for Oil policy. All of these free dialysis for people and sufferers under 18 and over 60 and so on. So we've done quite a bit. In my position as Vice President, we've been able to do quite a bit, and I've been able to support the President to do quite a bit. Of course, it doesn't mean we've done everything. There's a whole lot that we have yet to do, and there are still many challenging issues in the country that we have to face. But comparing us to the former government, really, there's like night and day. We can, without any fear of contradiction, tell you we have outperformed them many, many times. But they are not the standard for us. We have a higher standard. I'm looking at what is happening in the advanced world, and I want to catch up with those in the advanced world, not with the NBC. The NBC is not the standard. We want to catch up with the advanced world. We have done better for them and will continue to do better than them. But I want us to reach a different level. The vision I have for Ghana is a vision where we really transform agriculture. That we really invest in agriculture and make sure we have large-scale, commercial, technology-driven agriculture, mechanized agriculture. I also believe that we should move our electricity generation from a dependence on oil and gas to a dependence on solar power and other renewables. That is where we should go. And so I want, over the next 4 years, for us to bring in a solar generation capacity of 2,000 megawatts to add to our generation mix, to to add to Akosombo, that will 2,000 megawatts is more than half our consumption. So if we add that to Akosombo, we believe we can reduce the cost of electricity by at least 50%. And that is where I am heading now, because the cost of solar is is going to be around 7 cents per kilowatt hour. And I believe that will be very helpful. And if you add that to the Akosombo, we will change this. But I want us not just to import solar panels to build this 2,000 megawatt capacity. It's going to be really huge. We want to set up the factories here to manufacture the solar panels that we are going to use and then export them. I believe also that I want our government, by the grace of God, to move a lot away from the social interventions and move towards business to the private sector and try to empower the private sector. I believe that government should create room by reducing expenditure and giving that to the private sector to do. The private sector, of course, has a profit motive, that if you give them those incentives, and this is what happens in most of the advanced countries, that the private sector is responsible, whether it's for roads, whether it's for construction of other things. You give the private sector the incentive. And I want government to move away from the mentality that they have to do everything. If there's anything to go by, you can see that the whole digitalization program fundamentally is being a private sector driven program. This is why it has been so successful. Because with the private sector, they only make money when the system works. If it doesn't work, they don't make money. For the government sector, they make money when the system doesn't work. So the incentives are a bit upside down. And so I want the private sector to do a lot more. Let us reduce government expenditure by 3 to 5% of GDP over the next 4 years and allow the private sector to do it. If I want to build prisons, I can allow the private sector to say, I will rent these prisons from you, build them. For the next 20 years, I'll rent it from you. You see how quickly they will build expanded prisons in Ghana. If I want to buy buses for schools, I don't have to look for money to buy 700 buses or 800 buses. I can just say to the private sector, supply 700 buses to the schools and I will pay you every month something. I don't have to look for a whole lot of money. So the burden on the budget will come down and we will have more jobs created, projects will be completed, even dining halls and other infrastructure. The private sector can provide them. You go to Tech, you go to Legon, the hostels are private sector provided. They are not public sector built. And if it was a government building those, I bet you some of the hostels will still be uncompleted. They will still be uncompleted. But once it's the private sector, they know they are going to get money. Once the government gives an off-taker agreement, banks will be prepared to finance them. And so I want us to shift some significant spending away from government and create space and allow us to complete a lot of projects. I want to also change the tax system in Ghana. I want Ghana to move away from the current tax system to a flat tax system. A flat tax system is easy and it's easy to comply with, it's easy to enforce, and it's easy to calculate for all of us. I had a team that looked at this very carefully. We saw that the most tax competitive country in the world for the last 10 years in a row was Estonia. And so we went to Estonia, took a team to Estonia, looked at it. They have a flat tax system, and this has worked very well. And I think it will work very well for Ghana. Very much like the way the churches are charging tithes, right? And this is very simple. If it's 10%, it's 10%. Everybody knows. Right now, businesses and GRA are locked in battle. They will bring tax assessments that they don't understand, and then there is a problem. So I want us to move, by the grace of God, next year to a flat tax system and to enforce that flat tax system in terms of the beginning of it. I want us all to start from a clean slate And therefore, next year, I'm going to offer, by the grace of God, a tax amnesty to all businesses and all individuals. And we will all start from ground zero. We will all start from ground zero. We will start with a tax amnesty. And then I also want to realign Ghana's import duty system. The import duty system is a problematic one. There is no predictability in the import duty system. And that feeds into lack of predictability in prices on the market. Because we are a highly import-dependent economy, no matter how we cut it for now, and we need to increase domestic productive capacity. But there is no predictability. And so you may order something and think you are paying 10,000 cedis import duty. The thing arrives and you have a bill of 20,000. You are not able to pay, they confiscate your goods, and they'll sell them off for 2,000. And then you have nothing left. Now, if you are able to pay, you go to the market and increase your prices. So there's an inflationary push in there. So what I want to do is to have predictable flat rates of import duty in cities. Flat rates of import duty in cities. In cities. So that we start respecting our city right from the port. So if you are a spare parts dealer from magazine and you are bringing in spare parts, then there will be a flat duty for the 40-footer container, for the 20-footer container. So we can say, for example, if it's a 40-footer container, it's 20,000 cedis. So whenever the container arrives, it is 20,000 cedis. In cities. If it's 20-footer, you know what it is. It's very simple. So it's predictable. Now, if it's rice, the same thing. You have chicken, whatever it is. You have flat duty rates. So we bring in predictability in the duty. Then you move on to the second reform in the import duty regime. If you look at it, Togo has lower duty than Ghana, isn't it? So you see a lot of people rather want to bring containers through Togo and smuggle the goods into Ghana because they don't want to pay the higher import duty. So since Togo is our main competitor and they are just next door, right next door, I want a new policy. That new policy should say that Ghana's import duty cannot be higher than Togo's import duty. Then we cut Ghana's import duty to our competitor. Then the smuggling will stop and there will be no incentive to send the goods through Togo and we will bring them through Ghana. The next major reform I want to bring into Ghana is to transform Ghana from a cash-based economy to a credit system. You see, in the advanced countries, almost everything you can get on credit. In Ghana, everything has to be cash. You want to build a house, you have to look for cash. Buy a car, look for cash. Buy TV, look for cash. So the burden on the worker in Ghana is very high. If they pay somebody $1,000 in the US, they can consume goods up to $10,000 and they will be paying little by little. In Ghana, they pay you 1,000 cedis. You don't even reach half the month, and your 1,000 cedis is finished. You have no way to extend your consumption possibilities. It becomes a problem. The reason why they are able to do so in the advanced countries is that everybody has an individual credit score. So that underpins the credit system. You cannot have a credit system without an individual credit scoring system. And so this is what, if I wrote about this in my book 14 years ago, that this is where we need to go. But we didn't have the data to be able to do individual credit scoring. You need the databases to link them. But thankfully, because of the digitalization program and the linkage of the Ghana card to your bank account, to your SIM card, your Momo account, to DVLA, to your GRA, to your Senate, and all of that, NHIS, you now got a database integrated database that you can now use for credit scoring in Ghana. And we have got the company that is licensed to do credit scoring in Ghana. The Bank of Ghana has given them a license. And in the next couple of months, Ghana, your own Ghana, by the grace of God, is going to begin individualized credit scoring. That will change Ghana. That should change Ghana. Because right now we are also assumed by the banks to be bad borrowers. So they are giving us very high interest rates and everything. But if they can distinguish everybody, once you have a Ghana card, you will have a credit score. Because you can generate the credit scoring. And Ghana will start it. In sub-Saharan Africa, it's only South Africa that does individual credit scoring. Ghana will be the second in sub-Saharan Africa to do that. And once we do that, we will start to move the economy fully from a cash base to a credit system base and all of that. Another area I want to get done is digitalization of land registration and title transfer. That is a major source of problems in Ghana. But without proper titling and confidence in that, you cannot have a mortgage market develop in Ghana. And therefore, I'm going to focus a lot on the land digitalization program so that on your mobile phone, if you have the coordinates of any piece of land, you can tell who owns that land so that you cannot have double sale of that land. So we are going to move towards digitalization of the land registration process. We're going to focus and make sure that we deal with Galamsey, for me, in a way that is smart. You've got to make sure that you can regulate the small-scale mines. You have to regulate them to move them away and therefore empower the Geological Survey Department so that we can find areas where there are proven reserves and demarcate community mining schemes and concessions for small-scale miners and give them those concessions and regulate them in terms of the type of processes that they use to mine it so that mercury and all of that, and push them away from the water bodies, give them machinery and so on, common user facilities so that they can get a lot more gold from the tailings that they have. Ghana has a lot of gold. The Geological Survey Department estimates that the unexplored gold, we have about 5 billion ounces. That's almost 10 trillion US dollars. That is unexplored. Even if it's 5% of that we get, it's huge. So let us focus on that and let us, empower and regulate the small-scale mining schemes and then also be able to increase our gold reserves and back our currency ultimately with gold. I believe also that Ghana, so far, we've not been able to do what we need to do in railways. Rail transportation is very important. Without rail, the benefit from a lot of our bauxite, iron ore, and so on will not be realized. And we need to encourage the private sector with sufficient incentives to help us to deal with the rail problem that we have. The job side is very key. We have to have new growth poles in tourism, in sports, in creative arts, pharmaceuticals, the digital space. We can really train at least 1 million youth in digital skills, coding, software engineering. They don't really need to have certificates. Even school dropouts can be trained. And we need to also support the small and medium scale enterprises, and government is going to be doing that. In conclusion, let me just say that I am contested to be president of this country. And I believe that there are a number of reasons why you should support me. The first one is that as vice president, most people say that I have been the most impactful vice president in the history of Ghana. That is the general consensus. And if that is the consensus, that means that as for the vice president class, I have passed my exam there. So once I pass, you have to promote me to the next level and make me president. And so I believe that you give me that promotion. The second thing is that I have a commitment to fighting corruption. And all the things that I have done in the digital space, the systems that I am putting in place, they are systems that will fight corruption. And I intend to fully do that. I have also presented a compelling vision for what I want to do as a president. I believe that if you give me the opportunity, I will start from day one. I know exactly where I want to go and what I want to do for this country. I'm not going to go on a honeymoon. I'm going to move from day one and start working for you. But I also believe that if you make me a president, I'll be more accountable to you, because I'll be looking for an 8-year term. An 8-year term means that you are first going to give me a 4-year term. It means I have to work very hard to justify your giving me another 4 years. And so I'll be more accountable. I'll come back to you and say, this is what I have been able to do. And then you can renew my license and I'll drive the vehicle and go forward. So I believe that my main opponent only is looking for 4-year term. That means immediately you give it to him and he goes on his honeymoon and comes back, you will see him again. There will be no accountability. For me, you will get accountability. And so you should give it to somebody who has that frame of mind. The other reason why I say you should look out to voting for me is that the world is moving into a digital age. And I believe that as president, I am the best person positioned to take Ghana into this digital age. And I want you to support me to get there. Thank you all very much for listening. God bless you.
Please, you can do better. Let's do it again, please. Let's do it again for His Excellency. Wonderful presentation. Brilliant presentation. Thank you so very much, Excellency. We're going to do open forum. At this point, we will invite to solicit opinions, views, ideas. Kindly just have a seat. We'll come to you.
Thank you, Excellency. I'm Professor Isaac Adele, School of Business Studies, Academic University of Skills Training and Computer. Thank you. My is about 3 suggestions. And it goes to since we are into education. Please right. We have 3 approaches to the use of education of educational planning. The rate of return approach, the shared demand, and the manpower approach of education planning. I'm stressing on the manpower that this time also we put measures in place to be able to export some of our human capital. We trained a lot, but we have to make it internationally so that we can export some officially. And secondly, too, Mr. Minister, thank you for the laptops and other things. But there's an issue of school learners carrying heavy school bags. In the meantime, as well as we pass a minimum law that will at least check the overweight of the school bag. But because we are inspired by all the school bag, let's pass the minimum law. And lastly, I'm glad to hear that you have some books on the government studies. I did the government studies at Amsterdam and studied the government studies at University of Sussex, right in England. It was all about amateur saying and the reigning of President, etc. So respectfully, on behalf of Amnesty Special Service President, we will appreciate if you can just give us about 100 copies of your book as a compliment so that we can study for our next studies. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we please restrict our questions to one per person? And please let's make it very smart so that we have many more people having the opportunity to ask questions. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Enkipo Sabi. Doc, I know you are inimitable stars of doing things, and you did indicate that coming into office, you start right away prosecuting your identification. And I will also appeal to if you can consider another department to be your so that in the area of education. It's also digitizing education service. My question is simple. Your government engaged PwC to validate the balances for the investments, but they were made to sign agreement that 20% will be paid each year through 5 years period, but nothing has been paid as I'm speaking to you today. What will be done about it so that your digitization agenda will come into fruition? Yes, I'm saying that government liquidated some investment companies which were being supervised by SEC, and government engaged PwC to validate the balances and investment, establish AM fund under DCD capital. It was said that every 20% should be paid in every year, but nothing has been paid yet, as I'm speaking now. And I'm asking what is being done about it.
All right. Shall we do it this way? About 15 professional groups represented here. So we move from one professional group to the other professional group. So from then we move to Ghana Medical Association, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Marcus Bale, representing the Ghana Medical Association, and we are here. 4 of us. We have 2 questions, and for this, I will obey the instructions of my CEO because we cannot. We will deal with the consequences later when we get to First of all, Mr. President, Vice President, 2 things. This morning, I saw some select committee, I'm sure from Parliament, and I think I saw Honorable Adwa Safa, and I'm sure for the first time, thank you to our CEO, usually what they did was to hide the mess at the emergency because of overcrowding. And the reason being that almost Confederation takes care of so many of the regions, 6, 7, 8 regions in the country, 12 regions in the country. And I'm sure they saw and they will collaborate what we saw, and I'm sure some of them also nauseating, some show up, and they will confess to you. And that is the environment as health workers we find ourselves. We talk of Agenda 111, and my former chief executive this year, we had debates, Dr. Isiansari. Of all the Agenda 111 you are building in the 12 region, Confederation still will serve as the referral center to them. The people who will be voting for you are not just those here. They are the patients who are sitting in chairs for 2 days. That's the reality. My CEO is here. He may disagree. He is doing his best. Two things. We are not just here to ask questions, but to find solution. Two things. 50 of the agenda ones, yes, as politicians who believe in numbers. But then why don't we go this way? Out of the 50, we go 40, and we spoke about this. Dedicate the resources meant for the 10 in retooling of Farachi. Now we are healing a hospital whose workers are sick in themselves, and our CEO is trying to heal both the hospital and the workers against all the resistance and everything. So before you leave here, Mr. Vice President, we want a commitment that instead of it being the CEO-led, the Asante-led, we of the Ghana Medical Association are saying that you will take it up. That it's no longer going to be individuals cleaning up the mess we found in the parliamentary committee found, but the government, so that we have that firm commitment that come December, that hospital will be that project. We have the blueprints there, and so we want that firm commitment. And it's based on that. This is for all the I'm representing the Ghana Medical Association. Secondly, we have 2 hospitals that are complete or almost complete, and they have the facilities which come from which is the major referral facility that they have. The military hospital at Akari and the Asokwa hospital. They have facilities. Mr. Vice President, if you drop in there, I will urge you to pass by these facilities. We dress this equipment beautifully. So, you, as the Vice President, still has the power to make sure that these facilities are commissioned to serve the purpose for which they were built. And that is the message of the Ghana Medical Association.
We'll take one more question, and then His Excellency the Vice President will answer the Ghana Medical Association.
Thank you. I'm a thank I'm a member of the bar, and Ashanti bar. Now we have so many lawyers at the bar. I'm glad the Deputy Attorney General is here with us. Now, some of us, we have over the years been representing some of the district assemblies. If you go to the assemblies, they have a health directorate section, works engineering. Surprisingly, they don't have legal representatives. And there's a lot of men going on in the assemblies. You go to the court every single day, and the assemblies have cases, but they don't have legal officers representing the assemblies. And we are losing a lot of money in the courts. So I'm humbly praying that and suggesting that we have so many lawyers at the bar. If we can offload some to the Attorney General's office so that at least every single assembly will have a legal representative. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, shall we take one more question? Utah.
Yes, thank you. There is a saying that the rock in the middle of the river will always be cool at the flowing water. And so definitely for governance to move forward and for this country to develop, we need the professionals. So we are the professionals. I was a professional teacher and I moved into the tertiary level. I'm a maths lecturer at Amsterdam. I have a few questions. One. In the submissions, you heard that Ghana want to compete with the outside world. In that, for them, they have 94% at the tertiary level. Whilst Ghana, we are talking about 20%. But even in the 20%, we still have graduate unemployed. The question is, how are we going to see the astronomical enrollment? And again, how are we going to marry academia with industry? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for those questions. I think